Good morning, everyone. I have a few things I want to mention here on this video. Um, First of all, this is going to be my very last video that I will ever be making. And the reason for that is several. My wife's health issues is the number one reason. And unless things get better, I will no longer be making any videos. The last video I made, as you know, I was discussing things I've done in the past, mail orders and stuff, of electronics back in the days when things were simpler and so forth, and much better times. And yeah, I may live in the past, but I find that to be something I like to do occasionally, not constantly, but but the quality of my videos, there's very little interest. Now, I'm going to mention something about another channel, and I already emailed him, and that's Greg's Vintage Electronics. He feels, and I'm making this to kind of plead with you viewers out there to support his channel. He feels his stuff is not important, and he's thinking of stop making videos also. He does excellent work if you have been watching his channel. He's a master at what he does. And although he may not have been successful on that television, to my knowledge, that was the only thing that he did not succeed in. If you could see me back in the late 50s and throughout the 60s and even the 70s, there are many, many televisions I was stumped at and could not fix. So don't let that get you down. He did a fantastic job on that antique washing machine and other things that I cannot even begin to achieve. So please reconsider. You may not have the views that a lot of other channels have, and I don't either. And I find my viewing, the number of views and likes has gone down in the last few years, and a lot of that is attributed probably to the content of what I put out. A lot of times, you very well know, I'll start a video here on the radio, and because of my wife's issues, I had to stop. But however, even before she had those issues, I have and still have vision problems and not able to complete it completely, and a lot of times I fail on them, and it's mostly because of my eyesight. So it gets me down, it gets me to a point where, why am I doing this? Because the idea of doing a video on the radio is to teach somebody, although I'm never a teacher. I could never present myself as a teacher, and I don't feel I have the knowledge to teach anyone. However, I like to share my hobby, which is what this is, with everyone. However, when you start something and you can't finish it with bad eyesight, well, why do it? Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to give up what I like to do. No, as long as I'm physically able to get in and out of the shop or climb up in here and be able to see what I'm doing, half-ass anyways, I'll stay with it, but I'm not doing videos. And as a matter of fact, I've done videos on the shed just to give people an update on, because I've had questions that were asked about that. So that's why I've been making those videos, but even that's going to stop. And I'm no longer going to be making videos, but I will be keeping my channel and I will be watching videos. Now, Greg is one of the very few of my viewers who emails me, and I email him back because I don't, as you well know, I do not leave comments because of the trolls that I had in the past on anyone's videos, whether I like them, even though, I won't comment on them. I will email that person if I have the email address, and there's only a few of my channels that I'm subscribed to that have my email address, but Greg is one of the very few that'll email me and ask me how everything is going. There's only about 2 or 3 people that'll do that, and so that's just the way that is. So I really, really appreciate it, and there are very few people that are like that, and he does some real good videos, and I want him to stay on. Now, as you well know, John from Arkansas, if anyone of you have been subscribed to him, he also announced a month or 2 ago that he's no longer going to be making videos because he feels the same way, that no one's interested in it. I really enjoyed his videos. I'm not much on the cooking or the Thunderbird videos. I really didn't care for those. I like cars and working on them, but, when you get into, one thing all the time, it gets monotonous, But I really enjoyed his videos, and he gave up on the radio. And I've given up on a lot of them. And, but with everything going on with us at home here, that's why I'm getting out of making videos. That's primarily what the reason is. And I don't have much to offer anybody anymore. And, in the older days with YouTube, yeah, it was good, but I think the novelty is wearing off. Even going back several years, I'm a Junk Collector, Don, who I used to watch, took all his videos down a few years ago and is only a watcher like I'm going to be now. And primarily that's it. There's a lot of channels that aren't making videos anymore. They're very scarce and far and few between. Like Ron's Vintage Electronics, he's not making very many videos anymore. So, there's a lot of us, I think, that are just kind of like backing out, so to speak, and I could be wrong. So, I feel that I've gone as far as I could, with it. And I love getting out here, and I love sharing things. But after a while, people don't want to hear it, a lot of people are not interested in antique radios and stuff like that. Everybody's into the modern stuff and the computers. I don't watch those videos. I don't watch videos on how to video edit because I don't want to know because it's too confusing. Repairing computers, I don't want to know because it's too confusing. I'm from the old school. I've mentioned that many times. So I like watching guys that work on antique radios and even televisions, although I'm not into TVs anymore. I used to be back in the late 50s when I was starting out, and into the 60s I was very heavy in it, black and white, and my first television that I worked on, which was color, was RCA CTC4, a monstrous chassis color TV, that the first one I learned on. And that was back in the mid-60s, I believe it was. So anyways, I'm still going to get in here and do things I like to do. But I don't need to be sharing it with everybody because 99% of my viewers are not really interested in that. And I do get occasionally an email or even a letter from some of my viewers who don't even say who they are, that know me, I guess, and appreciate the videos. And for those viewers, I want to thank them very much. But I know I've mentioned it before that I was going to just stop making videos, and I also mentioned closing my channel, but I'm not going to close my channel. I'll continue watching lots of videos, not only electronics, a lot of other videos that I always watch all the time, but I never comment, like Bus Grease Monkey, Jennings Motor Sports. I really, really enjoy his videos and getting junk, real old vehicles, engines running. The guy's a genius. And Mr. Carlson's Lab, and all those. I'm watching a lot of videos, as well as movies and documentaries and different things. But I feel because there's no interaction anymore, because, as you know, I had to do away with all my comments, and to keep my sanity and have to weed out the nuts and everything else that are in there. So I figured, well, why do that? So, some people don't mind and they leave everything open, and but I don't, and I'd rather just, because there's no interaction anymore. It's not the same as it used to be years ago, where there was no problem like that. But this day and age, things are not good on the internet. So there's a lot of problems, and I just like the old ways, and I'll always be that way. You're not going to change a guy my age now into the modern way of thinking. I still got my smartphone. We haven't gotten rid of them. We were going to, but I hardly ever use it. I turn it on. I get no voicemail or anything. Jim Asbell passed on a few months ago. He was the only one I was talking to, and really, that's about it. So, I take the smartphone and I go and try to get the weather, and I get a whole bunch of ads and stuff. And I said, if I want to get the news of the weather, I'll turn the radio on, or I'll turn the television on, So I'm not interested in that. But I figured I'd just leave it alone. And my wife uses it more than I do, and But I do have to take care of my wife, and I'm gonna do what I do outside if I physically can do it, and take care of the shed and work on things. And eventually I'd like to get back onto this Motorola radio here, but there's not going to be any more of any kind of video, never mind electronics, any kind at all. So what's there stays there, and I'm not going to go taking anything down. It's just going to simply be, I'm going to be a watcher, and whatever I do here will not be shared online. There's no need to. You've seen everything, I must have told you my past 1,000 times, what I did, and not a very exciting life. And I try to share what little knowledge I do have with you, but there are lots smarter guys out there, a lot smarter, that you can follow and really do it. It hurts too. I'm going to be upfront about it. I've mentioned it before, and I don't mean this to be critical of anyone, but it really hurts. I had a lot of support online when I was doing my Uncle Dorkle skits, and this was before my wife's health issues got worse and worse, and and then I wasn't in the mood to do comedy anymore, so I gave Uncle Dorkle away, and sadly that never ever went anywhere other than one or two little skits. And So, it hurts because I was, if I could afford it, I would have sent Uncle Dorkel to Buzz 1151, and he would have followed through, but he wasn't interested because I had wrote him a while back, quite a while ago, when I was deciding to get rid of him, and I was going to scrap it and, just get rid of it, period. So Dan of Cool Blue Lights got it, and, so nothing happened there, so I kind of just gave up on it. It just, I'm an old guy. Who the hell wants to hear from an old man all the time? And I'm living one day at a time. I'm lucky I'm up a bit. 81 years old. I'm surprised I'm still here. Um, and I think I'll just quietly this is my hobby. This is what I love to do. You know, and not like a lot of guys who will get in and you'll see me working on everything and the instruments going. I do a lot of that off camera when I do things, and lately I haven't been. And when you got eyesight that's not cooperating with you, you kind of like saying, well, it's too much of an effort, But I love the hobby, and I want to preserve this stuff here. And when I'm gone, I don't want to see this going into the dump, I mean, there's too much of that stuff, I watch Shango 66's videos and, stuff out that way on the West Coast there. There's businesses that are closed up and radio TV shops that are closed up and all that equipment. Where does it go? It goes in the dump. Yet I want to buy something on eBay, they're charging hundreds and hundreds of dollars for it, If I was to sell everything in here in one lump sum, they probably wouldn't get $100 for it, But, I accumulated. It took years to get started again, And I love it. It's my thing, And everybody has their thing to do. Like Doug likes working on his computers and stuff. I'm not interested in that. I have all I can do to do the basics, and that's it. And I've been playing around with computers for quite a few years, but I only know the basics, the minimum, just to get me going. Windows Movie Maker is still my first choice. Sony Movie Studio 13 I can only do little things on it. I can't use all the features. I can't remember how to do it, And, I kind of like, some people think that I don't want to learn. Well, I don't. I get confused. I can't follow. It's too confusing, and that's just the way it is. And I am from the old school. I like the older things that are easy to work on. It's like these Android tablets. The Android 5 was a lot easier to use than the Android 13. I get used to using Windows XP. Then it went to Windows 7. And it took me a hell of a long time to learn Windows 7 and get it so I can utilize it, and the filing system is understandable. Then when it went to Windows 10, the filing system was all different, and Windows 11 is even worse. So, people may laugh at me, but I'm sorry, it's difficult. There's only so much you can cram into a cranial like mine. So I want to thank everyone who did support me, and and I'm not going anywhere. It's just that I'm not going to be making any videos. That goes for anything. I do things, I'm just going to do it. And Greg feels, Greg's Vintage Workshop, he feels when he wrote me that he can concentrate more on what he's doing. He's still going to stay with it, but he's not going to make videos. But he's thinking maybe he'll do a radio repair, and after it's done, show it. And I think that's a good idea. I have mentioned that in the past, too. But in my case, I'm done with videos because I've been thinking about this for a very long time, and I'm looking at the views, And I'm looking at some of the videos I made a month, 2 months ago. They only get 300 or 400 views in a month. That's nothing, you know. And maybe 50 or 60 likes in 2 months or 3 months. And sometimes not even that many. So that shows you, out of my 11,000 some odd viewers that I have, subscriptions rather, subscribers, that 99% of them are probably no longer watching my videos, even though they're still subscribed. So, you know, there's a lot of channels that dropped out, you know. I can name one right now, 1952 Banjo. The lady that used to play the banjo in South or North Carolina. I get the two mixed up. She's down that way so much she hasn't been making any videos in many years. You know, when I used to watch all that stuff. A lot of people are just giving up YouTube. Nobody wants the stuff. And so, you know, I have a certain type of videos that I like to put out. I like to share what I do, whether it's working on a radio, whether it's working on the shed, making a project, or, you know, used to loving doing comedy. I always used to do comedy way back when I was doing 8mm videos, films, 8mm film. I used to do comedy. It was corny, but I did it, you know, and I had a small audience. It wasn't on internet because there was no internet back in the 70s, but I used to do 8mm, similar to what Buzz 1151 does, but nowhere near as good. That man is talented, I will say that, and I do watch his videos. I don't comment on anybody's videos anymore because of the reasons I had mentioned already. However, the man is talented, and me, I have a few video clips that I've done, but nothing much and nothing I would put on YouTube. But I used to show that stuff to my cousins and my cousins' kids when I got the movie projector out, and I'd show that stuff. And, you know, they got a kick out of it, I guess. But after a while, I look back on it and say, that's nothing to watch. What's the big deal? So I got films in the closet that it cost too much to convert to digital. I used to do it with the movie projector. That's too much work. And the quality wasn't that good. You get the flicker and everything because I guess you need a 5-blade shutter on the projector in order to eliminate that. And I never bothered doing that. So anyways. But that's probably it. I just want to let you know that primarily I want you to please check out Greg's Vintage Workshop. Drop a comment there and please give him some encouragement. The man does fantastic work. He don't feel he does, and people are not interested in his videos, but actually I don't think he's being fair to himself, because he is really, really good at what he does. So I want to, you know, let you all know I do appreciate everybody that in the past has enjoyed my videos and gave me nice comments. We were able to get comments open at that time, keep them open. And, you know, the time has come to end it. So definitely that'll be it for my videos and putting out any videos. The rare chance that hopefully if my wife improves and it don't look like things are getting better, I may, but I'm about 100% sure that this will be my last video, and I want to thank you, and please support Greg's Vintage Workshop. He does some fantastic work. Thank you, Greg, for all the videos, and please stay with it. Thank you, my viewers, for listening to me. This is Old 64 Goat signing off.